welcome to King Pollys World. It's me, King Polly, and you are in for a treat today, truly, because I am joined by a really magnificent couple and a really magnificent artist. Here in Vegas, you've heard of him. His name is Joseph Watson, and he is truly an inspiration. I'm so grateful to get to speak to you, get to know you, the world of painting and illustration. And it's always a wonderful thing too when I'm able to interact with a married couple that is in love, right? And that just has that. And I'm just so grateful for you both to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
And it's Tamara.
Yes.
I wanted to get that right.
It's perfect. Yeah.
Okay, good. Usually I'm kind of rough with names, but...
No, that's perfect.
Okay, perfect. And how long have you two been married?
13 years.
Yeah, 13.
It's going to be 14 in October. We celebrated 13 twice. We thought we were married for 13 years, but we were married for 12 years last year.
That's the best.
And then my mother-in-law called and said, no.
It's my fault. Yeah, I take the blame for that.
So we had pictures in
Time
front
flies
of
when
13.
you're having a good time, though.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh. I relate to that. I always have to like backtrack and count in my head how many years for me and my husband, and I could see us doing that. So that's hilarious.
So, Yep.
And when did you move here, Joseph, from LA?
Actually, I moved from the San Diego area back in mid-2004. I actually grew up in the LA area, Gardena to be specific. But yeah, halfway, 2004 and a half, that's when I moved to Vegas.
Okay, so
Yep.
that's my math skills.
18 years ago. 18 years, 1 month, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And when you first moved to Vegas, where did you live? What
I
area?
I lived probably in the worst place imaginable.
That's usually what happens.
Yeah, I don't want to put any
right,
place
you don't
down.
Put it on blast.
But let's just say there was a pig farm up north.
Okay.
Yeah, where all the scraps used to go from the casinos to there. Yes. I basically lived across the street. So
that smell,
like,
I know that smell.
Yeah.
If you're,
it's like a sweet funk kind of. Yeah.
Oh, so
yeah.
bad.
Well, that makes for a wonderful story.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
Did you both move here together from?
No. I moved from New York. He moved from California, and I lived here longer. But when I met him, that's when he lived by the pig farm. It was your backyard, literally.
Now that's a love story.
Really?
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
And then growing up in LA, how was that? Did you have a big family?
Not in LA, not too big. So a lot of my family actually is back east in New Jersey. So I had a few cousins in like Altadena, California, and a couple of places in LA, but not too many of us in LA. But
would you go visit New Jersey?
Yeah.
Ever?
My brother and I used to go and stay for like summers and summer camp and things like that. Loved it. Used to go and just, I don't know, fishing and, camp, swimming, things like that, catch fireflies and visit the elders, things like that. Jersey is like, a lot of people say like, strange things about Jersey. It's either love or hate it, but we loved it. It was great.
Totally.
Yeah. Can't wait to go back too.
I've been there twice and I loved it too. And I was surprised by sort of the bad rap, right? And
yeah, totally. It
was so green and beautiful. And I was there like, kind of during Halloween, and it was amazing. Like all the houses, they went all out. Like it was a really cool place. Like I enjoyed New Jersey. I actually would have lived in New Jersey if my dad, when I was a baby, had a choice, Vegas or Jersey.
Oh, really?
And for a long time, I was mad because I wanted Jersey. I wanted to be closer to New York.
Okay.
Now everything happens for a reason, right?
Yes. Totally. Yeah.
And then did you start with art early on?
I did. Yeah. So basically during elementary school and things like that, I was the kid who never got picked for the sports teams. So during recess, I used to, sit on the bench and it's like, yeah, pick me next, pick me. And, all of a sudden it came down to the last pick and I'm just still sitting there. I'm like, what do I do? So that's when kind of things kind of started out, I think, artistically, because I needed to exercise myself in some way, but I did it more artistically. So just like, sketching things like that while I'm sitting on the bench. I have a painting actually that portrays this as well that I'm working on. But I used to draw just creatures and things like that, and kids would come over, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm working on this. Then over time, you start getting better and better, refining what you do, as they were doing on the basketball court and the football field. And we were just refining two different things at the same time. Mine was art, theirs was sports. So it was like an outlet for me, any sort of, I'm sure a lot of artists, have a very similar story, but for me it was like a stress releaser, sort of, instead of taking it out with anger, things like that, I just used my pencil and paper and just drew cool things, and they got noticed. And I just stuck with that, throughout the years.
Totally. That's so beautiful. And I feel that in me, right? Because it is, when we're young and in school, we're all trying to find, who are we? What is our thing? And if it's not sports, which kind of in our culture tends to be the, sort of this main pushed thing.
Oh, yeah.
And then it ends up being such a blessing, this reroute of like, okay, well, wait, who am I? And
Exactly.
you were able to create during that time is so beautiful.
Early on. Because, trust me, like in LA at that time during the 1980s, there were a lot of other options that weren't necessarily the best options. But our parents did a pretty good job of, just planting that in our heads, what to do, how to stay out of trouble and things like that. So art was the perfect matchup for me.
Wow, what a wonderful outlet.
Oh, yeah.
And how long before you found paint?
As far as taking fine art very serious?
Or I guess
more,
I feel like, did you start like with drawing?
In the swap meet when you were.
And then when did you move to paint? Like, was it right away? You're like, oh, I'm going to hang out with paint for a while.
Yeah, that happened a little bit later, but like earlier on, like I would say like in high school, I started doing a lot of airbrushing on t-shirts and things like that. So at the age of 16, I had got my little business license and stuff and set up a booth at the swap meet.
Wow.
So first I had like a slither of a booth. It was like 3 feet, and it was on the side of Tito's carpets. Yeah.
Nice.
So it was a carpet shop there. Then I had a little slice, and he like rented me the little slice for like, I don't know, $20 a day.
Wow.
Then I got enough money to eventually get a half space, then a full space. Then I built it up from there, and it was a pretty cool experience. It's the same swap meet actually that the famous rap group came out of, NWA.
Oh,
yeah, the Roadium swap meet. So that's where they launched their careers, like Ice Cube and these guys. But several years after, that's when I touched down there with my airbrush booth, doing t-shirts, and got a lot of mileage, confidence. Had to communicate like in Spanish, with a lot of folks as well too, because that was like one of the primary languages I spoke down there, and I had to, sell my stuff. So
Totally.
It was a cool experience. Yeah.
Wow. And was that scary for you, like making that move? Okay, no, I can do this.
Well, at that time, I don't think I had much of an option really, because in LA around the 80s and things like that, it was very difficult to, like if you were like 17, 18 to get a job. I remember just like applying everywhere, and it was just like, no, we're not hiring, no. But eventually I landed a job at it was called the Vermont Swap Meet in the concession stand, just making pizzas and selling popcorn and stuff like that. It was right across the street from the junkyard, and I don't know, I was making like $33 a day or something like that. But one day I got the invite from a buddy of mine to just like call in sick and set up a booth on his grandmother's front yard in front of a busy intersection, because he was going to have an airbrush booth. Wow. So I did that, and we got like all these customers. So that's when I quit.
Confidence.
And that's when I started that booth at the swap meet. And that's kind of how it happened.
Oh, I love that. Just that, how things happen and fall into place, and from sitting here now looking back, it looks like, oh, wow, this just perfectly. But when you're in it, and having to choose and move, and it's like, it's just so interesting, right?
Oh, totally. Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. And, a lot of times, too, you just have to kind of create your own opportunities. It might have been a great thing that I didn't get hired at whatever it was, Carl's Jr., Home Depot, whatever it was at the time, because that was some force telling me to, you got to create your own thing, because this is your path in life, and you'll go a lot further in it. So I'm glad I didn't get hired at those places at that time, because I
Right.
would have never been exposed to people, buying my art at an early age.
Right. Like that is, I mean, that's huge, for an artist to be able to sell their art. And that's something that takes a lot of courage or sometimes no other option. Right.
Oh yeah.
And it's just so beautiful that all these years later and you're able to do it
Yeah.
still
Certainly, yeah.
for a living.
It's all I know how to do, really. Yeah.
Wow. And then what, after your swap meet booth, what was the next sort of move in your life?
Okay, so what happened after that? Around that time, I met somebody named Mr. Cartoon, who is a world famous tattoo artist. He's like all over the place. Mark Machado,
Yes.
that stuff. Yeah, he's yeah, like number one in the world. Anyways, I was able to run into him around that time when I was in high school, and he kind of recommended me to go to this school called LA Trade Tech to learn the art of sign painting, to do like lettering, branding, and things like that. So I took his advice, enrolled in it, graduated, and then I was doing all these signs for like race cars, all the signage at the drag strip, trucking companies, and things like that. But I found out that really that's not what I wanted to spend the rest of my life doing. There was something else. Luckily, at that school, I ran into another mentor of mine who told me about this school called Art Center College of Design in Pasadena, which was like at the time probably top one or top two art schools in the world. So I was able to get in, and that's when I really buckled down and started getting serious about all the other aspects of commercial art, illustration, entertainment design, things like that. It happened there at that school. Yeah. And that was a really big wake up call too. Yeah. It was 2 hours of sleep every night. And oh yeah, it was super intense, really intense. Yeah. But it was totally worth it.
Yeah.
And it was a good experience, but it was challenging.
And that was 4 years? Or
Well, it's supposed to take 3 years, but I took a little longer because I had to take time off to work, intern, things like that. Ran out of money, but I was able to get right back in. So just stuck to it to the very end. Yeah.
See, that's so interesting to me as someone who's never gone officially to school for art. And I do feel like there is a lot of wealth of knowledge you gain and experience and being connected to mentors and teachers, that I think really helps you the rest of your life. But finding that school that fits and that works and that you were able to get into such an awesome school like that.
Right.
Wow.
And you bring up a good point too. Nothing against all of the self-taught artists, because I know plenty that are like rock stars, like truly rock stars out there. That's great. Hats off to them.
Totally.
But my wife and I were having the discussion earlier today about exposing kids and individuals to just getting things in front of their eyes, because you never know what's going to click. So that's the thing that I did like about Art Center, is that it was an overwhelming amount of disciplines and skills and techniques in front of your eyes. Because when I was there, I actually majored as illustration, thinking that I'm going to get out and just design children's books, do illustrations for movie covers, design characters for video games, did all of that stuff, but minored in fine art, not knowing that I would be doing a lot of fine art later.
Right.
While I remember at that school, I tried to get out of the fine art classes. I go, this is not for me. Please, take these classes off of my curriculum, put me all in illustration, also learning how to do 3D animation and things like that. But that's the cool thing about getting exposed and overexposed to things, is because you never know when in life you're going to use it as an outlet, to really balance out the thing that you do every day.
Totally.
So I look back and I go, yeah, that was totally worth it now. Yeah.
And isn't that funny too, how so often we kind of have this natural aversion to some things that are meant for us later? Like I've had that with certain things where it's just like, oh no way, I cannot. And then come back to it with just a deeper understanding. And now with these tools I have from other things.
Yeah. They planted that seed. and that's the cool thing about, going into a great school. I know nowadays it's a lot different because you have everything at your fingertips online, including,
Right.
all of the tutorials and, documentaries, just a lot of various ways to learn information. But to me, it's the facilitation of those things. Sometimes things need to be presented in a certain sequence in order to be absorbed by the viewer, because there's all different types of learners out there too. You might have somebody tune in online and say, "Oh, sculpting, it's not for me because it looks boring," but presented in the right way, exposing them, with the right demos and getting their hands on the clay and things like that, they might pick it up and say, "I love this." So, that's the thing. Yeah.
And was there much like community or collaboration when you were in school, or was it sort of each student on his own?
Both. We definitely had our crew there. Yeah, our late night crew, and up listening to underground hip hop music, things like that, creating stories, illustrations, projects. There were groups of us for sure, but some folks went off and did their stuff independently as well. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. And then what year was that you graduated?
1998.
98.
Yes.
And you stayed in LA for a while, a little bit longer.
I graduated in 98 and thought that I was going to get picked up by a video game company immediately.
Yes,
that wasn't
we
the
always
case.
think that. We're
That
always
didn't
like,
happen.
Tamara.
It didn't happen. Yeah, it didn't happen. Even with that prestigious name behind my name, of the school behind my name, it was a reality check because my head was gassed up really big. Like, I'm going to go out there and just
Get the first
take
job.
over. And just get all these like bidding wars and stuff. And so I had to take like 6 months. I pretty much, locked myself in the studio room because I was living with my dad at the time, and just refined, just looking at the state of the entertainment industry and seeing what's needed, see where everybody's at, and see how I can fit in. Then eventually, like 6 months after that, I landed in San Diego at a video game company called Midway Home Entertainment, which did a lot of the big video games out there. Yeah, on like PlayStation, Xbox, a lot of arcade games as well. Yeah, like Blitz, Hydro Thunder, a lot of that stuff. But went into that.
I forget that there are artists behind all of that.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. I forget that.
Yeah.
That each thing being played was created by an artist.
Certainly. Yeah.
Wow.
Artists, game designers, programmers, concept artists, animators, level artists, just like testers, a lot of various skills being fed into video game production.
I feel like that's a whole other skill, like making video games, and then you're able to also paint on this, make fine art on this canvas. It seems like they would be very different, yet they require that same eye, right?
Yeah. See, the cool thing about doing the video games, it was like a lot of hours invested, it's like 80 hours a week, 60 hours a week, whatever it was. But then I would come home and just work on some paintings. And I was like, wow, this relieves a lot of stress. Let me do more of this. Then showed it to a couple of people. They're like, yeah, like, how much is this? I'm like, really? You want to buy that? I'm like, yeah. Like, okay. So then I started buckling down and just starting to focus on building some sort of small series or collection and just kind of move forward with that. Yeah.
What was the first sort of collection?
It was based on tropical fish. And so I did lots of like fish related stuff, lobster related stuff, which later became successful. It got picked up and ended up in like Hobby Lobby stores. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, things like that. Yeah, restaurants and things like that. Yeah.
Wow.
But
How long after?
I would say that happened, let's see, 2004, like 2 years after. Something like that.
Isn't that interesting, right? Like you're talking about seeds, and you created it, right? You plant the seed, and you don't know when
exactly
it's going to bear the fruit, so to say.
Yeah, pour your heart and soul into it, and just make it authentic. Just have fun doing it, and then it's a win-win situation. So
yes.
yeah.
It's such a different feeling too. are you able to like find the joy in creating even when it is something that maybe isn't fully, like if it's a commission or something, or do you have to have your heart in it no matter what? Like, you know?
Yeah. With every project I work on, I definitely have my heart in it. I do a lot of commissions nowadays, but I like to make sure the commission is a good matchup. So when I get the inquiries about it, it's like they tell me like what the project is about. And if I could see myself working on it and putting like my twist to it and having fun doing it, then I agree to do it. And yeah, and a lot of times it is a collaborative effort between the company or the person who's commissioning me to do stuff. But still, it's a thing that we're creating together. And like almost all cases, they really trust my vision behind it.
They trust the process.
Yeah,
Right.
I
totally.
like to say it's like Watsonizing it.
Yes.
And if
I
they're
love
allowing
that.
it, then it's a match, because
Yes.
that's when you're creating something, whether it's a commission or when it's for you, it still has your hands on it. Where
Exactly.
it's cool.
I love that.
Because yeah, there was the recent one. Thanks to my wife, she let me take over the entire living room. It was like the massive piece for Smith's Marketplace.
Yes.
It's like 24 feet by 8 feet tall, and
It was
yeah.
perfect. It just fit. It was meant to be though. It was originally supposed to be upstairs, but they couldn't even get it upstairs. So it was we have like a really large front room, but it literally was like 2 inches, not even, from the right and
Inch
from
and a half, yeah,
from the
definitely.
left. So it was like it was meant to be. Like certain things
Yes.
you know, and what you guys were saying before, you don't know, but it's meant to be. Like
Totally.
it's like, all right, why are we not gonna paint that wall?
Yes.
Why paint it when you're about to work on a painting in front of it? I don't know, but
Yeah.
it worked.
And how awesome too that you're supportive, right? You know, it's not like
Yeah, it's awesome. I like, just because I think we're very, very different, like just to be able to paint, it takes time. And I'm very, as you can tell, I'm energetic. And so then it's kind of soothing. And it's like a big, like, whew, when he's painting, because it's like you're forced to just chill.
yes, I have that energy too, and which is why I've done a little bit of painting in my life, but I lack patience.
Okay.
I'm much an immediate gratification. So any painting I've ever done, I can't wait for one for it to dry. I need to immediately get in there.
Okay.
It's not the medium for me as much as I wish, and I'm maybe later in life I'll develop the patience.
It's a process. It is a process, because even with that painting, it is, and I believe he paints, and I don't know, but from the inside out. So in the beginning, it looks like something. It's his vision, but it's not what you see.
Yes.
Is the outcome. But
I always get your input on it though.
absolutely.
Yeah. She's
Often, and sometimes you don't even go with the input, because I'll think something is totally done, and then the great thing is that it works both ways. Thank you for taking my input, but when
course.
you don't agree with my input, it's really nice, because there have been things that he's done that I just wasn't feeling it. However, there's like a collector will love it. So in that case, you do kind of like, well.
So yeah,
hey.
basically, I could have it finish a painting, and I could run it by her and say, yeah, this is. How do you feel about this? She's like, I don't like it, but I'm like, that one's gonna sell. And
And
every time, yeah.
How nice
Yeah.
too that because it is that you have that level of trust in your relationship, to not then take it personally or just weird stuff that can happen.
Right.
I have that with my husband too now. It took time, because when I would show him certain things, it's like I'm showing him my heart on a platter, and for him to be like, or not have the reaction I think. So it took some practice for me to be like, no, it's okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's the wonderful thing with art, though, too, just the fact that everyone can have a different eye.
Yes.
And so it takes courage to show, but having the gallery for so many years, realizing that, hey, a lot of people do love his art and find something in it, because all of his art is just so intricate that you could look at the color, then you come back, you look at something else. But it's like, you can have a favorite piece. You cannot have a favorite piece. Everyone's eye is okay. It's like it's for you to love. So the variety of pieces that you do have, it's really nice to get different people's,
Oh yeah.
How they feel about it. And
I kind of do miss that actually, about having the gallery and just letting thousands of people just get their eyes on the artwork, because it's great getting good comments, but the negative comments, they were like, very few, but I like to know what those are so I can just see how some people interpret things, because, maybe something was drawn in a certain way or particular color combo, blah, blah, blah. But I kind of like to know like everybody's insight and interpretation of my work. That way I can, deliver something with the intent of reaching everybody. Because, it's all about the positive messages inside my art too, just really changing lives, making, encouraging people, making things better. I like to really push that in what I do. And the more I get to know about the viewer, the better I can deliver.
Wow, that's amazing. I've never heard it put that way. That's really beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
And you had a gallery in the Arts Factory in the Arts District for a decade, correct?
12 years. Wow. Yes, 12 years.
12 years. That's a lot of First Fridays.
a lot.
Yeah, it was like 120 something total. Wow. Yeah.
And preview Thursdays.
Yes.
And
yeah,
Saturdays.
And Thursdays. Yeah, and Sundays.
And Sundays.
And appointments.
Wow. And so you really witnessed an evolution of the Arts Factory too,
Oh,
and the
time.
Arts District.
Big time. Wow. Yeah. So
It's beautiful.
when I first started hanging out there in 2004 and exhibiting down there, it was a much more gritty environment. Some cases you'd kind of have to look back just to make sure you're not getting followed, things like that. But there was a lot of talent and things like that down there too at the time, and everybody was like growing together. I didn't know what it was going to turn into, like what it is now. Absolute phenomenal, little gem in our town. It's kind of like the Fairfax, district in LA, or someplace you would see like in Manhattan or something, where we have that here in Vegas, which is cool. And it's cool to say that, we were a part of that.
Yeah.
You might not see it, in the books or things like that, but we poured a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and dedication, and just showing art.
Those who
years
know,
after
know.
years,
It's in the hearts.
to everybody.
It's in the hearts of
So we were part of that
Absolutely.
as well. Yeah, and I'm glad to say that.
Right.
Yeah, we're part of that history.
Wow, that really is amazing. It's funny, in 2004, so when you were starting there, I was in high school in art club, and we actually had a showing of some portraits we did on the side of the Arts Factory
Okay.
one day, and that was my first introduction to the Arts Factory.
Cool.
And I remember just like growing up in Vegas, and that was the first time I'd been there, and I remember thinking, wow, this place exists here? Like, this is the coolest place.
A lot of people don't.
Definitely.
A lot of locals didn't even realize that the arts area, the arts district was right there even before it was like the arts district, the arts factory.
Yeah.
So many tourists would come, and then they would know about it, and then just coworkers.
Especially from Canada too.
Oh, love Canada. Love Canadians. They're so friendly. But it's just people didn't know. Myself, prior to meeting you, like living in Henderson, just didn't realize that there's a comfortable world out there with amazing artists, one of which is Joseph Watson. But just being yourself, eclectic, your own individual self before recent years where it's like, cool, it was just a really great place. Totally. Our son, who's 10 years old, grew up in the arts factory.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Like, talk about just amazing memories to have.
We mentored artists too, like this artist, Brian Martinez. So yeah, a good friend of ours, he came up through, our gallery as well, and a bunch of other artists also.
Yeah, as a young 15-year-old or 16-year-old, and
yeah.
being successful at his craft and realizing that it's not just talent. It also does take time. It takes energy. It takes persistence.
Sacrifice.
And what you mentioned in the beginning too, it's you have a vision and you assume it's just that's how you're going to get it. But seeing, it was many a days there, and then it works. Sometimes you don't know, like, the fabulous aura or umph circle or bubble until you're like, wow, it did work out, or it is working out. And that's part of 12 years ago, just like he started when you started drawing when you weren't chosen to be on the sports team, right? Then that got you to be, I'm going to be my self-made person in the swap meet, own like my swap booth. Then doing this, it's like the same thing with the young artist. Like, you didn't know that you were going to, when you were on the sidewalk in the tents, that you were going to have a small room in the Arts Factory, that then Jennifer Main was in a large room prior to us.
Thanks to Jennifer
getting
Main.
there. Jennifer
She's
now
great.
has a standalone in LA, but we didn't know that then you were going to have that awesome space, nor did we know the seeds we were planting in our space. But I feel like we were like shoo, 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 all over, because those seeds are now blossoming. So you can't, just being stagnant, it's just a great thing.
You know what's crazy?
He's
like,
the talent, but I think that I'm
you are
part
too.
of the like.
You are too.
Just
you fueled the talent.
yeah.
You have your talents also, but I'll go.
No. I was just going to say there's some paintings and things that he's done, and I go off on tangents too, as part of.
It's part of life.
But there's some paintings that he's done that maybe they haven't really gotten popular until 3 or 4 years later. And so it's also like, hey, just when you're doing something too, it doesn't matter because you don't know what's there. So let it sit for 3 years, if and then that person
like wine,
who's like,
right?
Absolutely, that person is probably still in school making money because they can't afford it now. And if you think about it, like or like wine, both.
Yeah, not being attached, right? Doing it for the love, for the joy, for the heart of it, for the vision, trusting the vision. And even if the outside, perspective isn't there yet, you don't know. And if you stay in your heart and true to your heart, everything does take care of itself.
Exactly. I remember there's a picture of Tamara and I when we very first opened up the small back room in the studio. We were painting the walls all white and everything, sweeping the floors. And in the back of my head, I'm like, you know what? We're probably going to lose this space next month. It's probably going to be a 1 month thing.
Wow.
Yeah. And, we made it the next month and the next month and the next year and year. So you never know where you're going to end up. Just have fun along the way and just give it your best shot. And
that humbleness too of not knowing, right? Of not knowing the future.
Totally. Yeah.
And to something you said, you're like, he's the talent, and he's like, but you're the talent too. And me and my husband joke about that. We say, like, I'm the flower and he's the gardener, or he's the soil and I'm the,
the jet and the propeller.
Right. Like it works together to one, it really is one working mechanism. And marriage often is that. And just having somebody in your corner does make so much difference.
Oh, big difference.
It helps you to
totally
keep
agree.
going one more month.
Absolutely.
One more year.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, that's beautiful. And something I wanted to ask you about was, the paintings you did for the Historic Westside Legacy Park. Yes. What was
36
that?
portraits.
Wow. Is that still on display, right?
It's a traveling exhibit. However, at Legacy Park, it's a permanent display on the metal plaques. However, the actual paintings, they just came out of City Hall. And I know they're going to move to another location. I don't know what that location is yet. But yeah.
Wow. And there were 36.
36, yes. 36.
Wow.
36 honorees who got, permanently displayed in Historic Legacy Park. African-American individuals who were really part of the fabric of Las Vegas in its early history. Also, some that are in like a current history as well, that are still doing a lot of great things. So they were honored in that park also. Wow. Yeah, it's a really cool looking park, and I'm actually honored to be part of the project.
Right.
And working on it too. It was an amazing experience. It was amazing. Yeah, I had all the portraits lined up in my studio room on the wall, and I would like shuffle them around depending on which one really needed more energy applied to it, and just calculating everything out. It was like a really big thing I had to solve. But at the very end of it, you know, just really hitting that deadline and seeing them etched onto the metal and just meeting a few of the honorees. Yeah, it's always
And their
nerve-
grandkids.
The grandkids, yeah. It was just, I was nervous a little bit, but after they told me they loved it, I was like, oh my goodness, that's cool. So I was like so glad to be a part of that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How long did it take you?
It took me to deliver the first like batch of them to get produced onto the actual plaques. I believe it was 2 months, roughly. Yeah, so I was producing anywhere from, I think I was averaging about 6 to 8 portraits per week. Then after I turned in the production versions of them, the digital files, I went back, then added more details and things like that to the physical paintings, because I knew that those are going to be like showcased in like exhibits and things like that. So yeah, I went back and refined those, and it took like a couple more months to do that. Yeah.
Is that hard in terms of you are your own sort of timekeeper? You know, I know for me that's been difficult gauging how long something would take, or, you know, rationing out my day.
Right.
Has that taken time?
It really comes down to, yeah, it does take a lot of time to do that, but it's a different type of art. I think it's the art of time management. I see it more of like a math equation kind of, a lot of division and things like that going on, because if I have 36 portraits and I have X window of time to finish them, how many can I work on per week to hit that deadline? Then I start looking at the commonalities between various the looks of the portraits, skin tones of the portraits, and see what I can group into various sessions while my palette is still wet with that particular color paint. And it's like a massive
Post-its.
puzzle. Yeah.
That's a
what
whole
I'm
other
saying.
talent. Yeah,
Exactly.
It's a massive puzzle, yeah, that my brain was just really just
It's like
just
from the
turning
inside
and-
out.
Yeah.
At least it appears from my eye, because you're putting things like you see what goes beneath it, and then it just comes. But that was amazing. And the trailblazers, I didn't even realize some of the stories and the great history that area was built upon.
Yes. Yes.
You know, that was awesome.
Totally. I mean, I don't, and I grew up here. You know what I mean? It isn't taught or spotlight or
Exactly.
or given
Right.
sort of. And so that's a really nice thing to be a part of for the
It's a
city.
gift to end
Yes.
that community, because it's in a park. And nowadays, with everything inside, being outside, there are plugs. You can get on your gadgets, but outside sometimes. And the fact that it's in a park in that area, it just brings beauty and brings the children out.
Yes.
Community.
And the more, and the more people that read those plaques too, you never know how they're going to be inspired to be the
Right.
first, whatever it is.
100.
So, for reading one of the plaques. So hopefully, that's what happens many times over. That's what I'm hoping.
I'm
So,
sure it already has begun, right? Just talk about seeds, like each one of
Yeah,
those paragraphs, each
totally.
one of those portraits, and
Yeah.
each child that I know for me when I was young and I would, come up to things like that, and it gave me hope, right? And to be reminded that art is powerful and important. And it is a communicator, and
Yes.
it's not just this extra elective that, or whatever some people have or some parents can say to their kids, or, that it is just as valuable and rich and important as anything else.
Oh yeah. Especially when used in the right way. I know that it can be used in the wrong way too, to do a lot of damage and things like that. But art used in the right way, I think, is a very potent tool to just push people to, be what they want to be in life. Yeah, and do good things.
Yes. That Smith's painting you were talking about, the giant one, which Smith's is that at right now?
Both.
Oh,
Actually, the new one is at the Smith's Marketplace in Henderson.
okay.
And I did
like,
the other one up in the Smith's Marketplace.
Boulder and Las Vegas Boulevard, in that new development,
Warm
right?
Springs and Warm Springs. and what's it?
Not Las Vegas, Lake Mead.
Lake Mead in Warm Springs.
I
That's
didn't
where
mean
that
to
one
say
is.
that, like Lake Mead in Buffalo.
And the other one's in Sky Canyon.
Wow.
Yeah. So the one in Sky Canyon is like 14 feet wide, and the one over there at the new one is 20.
It's huge.
28
It is
feet
so
wide.
huge. And it's really nice because you see it, and what I think is really, really cool is a lot of the people that we know have, they go shopping. It's great. You can get shoes there, you can get cheese, you can get and anything, a toaster.
Amazing pastries.
It's so crazy. I don't know. But they'll take like a selfie in front of his, and it's not a mural. It's actually a painting because it was done on panels that were brought in there. And so I think it's really nice and I'm not even the artist, to be able to have people like, hey, Joe, in front of your painting. And so,
Right.
Yeah, it was
really
nice.
nice.
Cool. It was cool. It's a light, brighter color palette than I'm used to, but I just really wanted to bring a lot of energy and just celebrate that area over there and just really create something that the people in that community could be proud of, And
so
also,
so I believe that since you have the south area, then you have like the north area. So you need the east and more west,
That
or
would be cool,
west
too.
and more east.
And then
Yes.
you'll have all 4
We
directions
love
covered.
Vegas. We love Las Vegas. We do. We like Vegas.
oh my gosh.
We've been here for so long. We're not it's a good place.
That must have been just such an interesting turning point in your lives with closing the gallery
Oh, big time.
and that
Yeah.
transition.
Yeah, it was my wife actually encouraged me to make that move and built up that confidence in me, because around that time new stuff started coming up, and it's all good, having my gallery downtown and things like that, but at that particular time with COVID, we had less traffic,
Yeah.
and also people's pocketbooks were tighter. And I started getting these other opportunities outside of the gallery, like children's book stuff, also the Allegiant Stadium stuff there. And then my wife was like, "Yeah, do you really need to keep the doors open?"
Right.
And I'm like, maybe not. Let me explore this other stuff. So
Right. Trusting the seasons of our
I went
lives.
with my gut.
change.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it worked out pretty good. So
What at Allegiant did you do?
I have original paintings there. I have 3 original paintings. So one was featured on, I think, Game 5 or Game 6 ticket.
Tickets. The inaugural
And it's
tickets.
displayed there permanently, and 2 other pieces there. Yeah, so I was working with.
It's really nice. If
That's
you go on the tour,
amazing.
you see them. But they're in awesome areas. But yes, 3 original paintings that Joe did there.
And then with the children's books too, Go Greta,
Greta,
and Jojo
Jojo
Goose.
Yeah, and there's another book that I'm going to announce soon. They said I couldn't say anything about that one yet. It's outside of those, but Jojo Goose, there's going to be 5 books in that particular series, and I'm working with author's name is Joe Frizzetti. So working with him, just finished up book number 2. I'm going to upload my last file tonight, and that'll be available soon on Amazon and some other locations. But that particular series, it's all about, the power of the mind, of intuition, of imagination, and all these things, and harnessing these inner powers that kids have, and just really putting it to work. And they're seeing it, with these characters that I developed and with the words that Joe wrote. Wow. On the other hand, Go Greta, it's about Greta Does It, which is our little girl character, which is based on the author's daughter. Oh. Yeah, Shay. And I'm working with Dana Satterwhite. So he's the author for that book. And we have 3 books out, which we did independently. And we're working on follow-up on that. And that's one that we did on our own, and we went into a lot of different schools and things like that, and just
all over the nation.
Yeah.
So not just in Las Vegas, Texas,
Zoom,
and in between. On all of the books, very similar to your art, they tell a story, and a good story. That
Yes.
it's for
Important
everyone.
story, right? That
Yes.
an inspiring story.
Oh yeah, totally.
That we need right now.
Yeah.
We
We
all
sure
need,
do.
our children need, we need
Yes.
that.
Yes, it's so rewarding too, just doing children's books also, because Go Greta, she came out like in, what was it, was it 2008 or
I wanna say
9,
after.
somewhere around there.
She
2010.
travels the world. She
So this
does
kid's-
everything.
Yeah,
It's just really, really cool. The JoJo Goose, it's kind of like power of meditation. It's just teaching kids things that are really awesome and what they really need. And as you mentioned, like it's an artistic way of thinking of things. And not everyone is a square in a, a peg in a
Right.
peg circle or whatever. So I think it's like it just grasps a lot of different children and adults to have you think about something that you just wouldn't normally think about. And sometimes just the illustrations and the simple words really are huge, like your paintings.
what I like about all of this stuff too, I know it's going a little bit off topic. One of the best things I like about creating all these different types of arts for children's books and commissions, shows and things like that is that my son, Joey, he comes to the studio room, late nights, and he's able to see this stuff being created from the very start. Wow. So with the Legacy Park stuff, he saw it from the very start to all of the rough paintings on the wall, to the final pieces in the park, to the various exhibits. He put on his little suit, so he's able to see full circle.
See it on the news,
On the news, yeah.
television.
With the books, he's able to see, Daddy illustrating these things, working, crunching it, to get it done by the deadline. The next thing you know, on Amazon. So he sees that process. So if he looks at other books on Amazon, he knows what kind of dedication and what kind of process it took to get there. And tomorrow I'm going to take him to the Raiders Stadium as well. So yeah, he saw those start from the beginning, and then
in
he's
the
going
home
to
studio.
home studio, taking photos of it and things like that. Now he's going to see it tomorrow, so he's going to have a full understanding of the process, which I think is cool for kids to have. I want to somehow show that to more kids.
Yes.
Showing them the full circle, because you could go to any store and just want to pay for something on the shelves, but it's like, do you know how that was made? Do you know how that was designed? Do you know the reason and the timing behind the designing of it, the marketing behind it? So once they have a better understanding, I think they have more appreciation for, I think, the finer things or simpler things in life too.
Yes.
So I'm glad to be a part of that with our kid.
Absolutely. Like that really is, it's a timeless, it's an eternal experience forever in his heart. And when he grows up and has a family of his own, this element of seeing something through. And what's always amazing too about art, right, is you start with nothing.
Exactly.
And somehow, right, and when you begin it's always like, wait, how is that going to turn into that? And just how amazing. I would have loved, right, to be your child.
Right?
I would have loved that,
to see and to be a part of such amazing people too, because with that comes even meeting you, like wonderful souls.
Yes.
It's true.
Who
I
are
think
also doing
something
their
that-
heart's work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which
This is how podcasts are made. It's
Yes.
like, how many kids get to see that?
Yes, exactly. It's really beautiful, and I really appreciate all the work you both do. And I'm so grateful to actually get to sit down and talk to you and meet you finally, because it really is. In the Arts Factor, it was just the staple, right? And Joseph Watson, and I don't think, like we were talking about with seeds, you can recognize, how you become part of the atmosphere, and you are, and it's just so beautiful to see the work and to see the creativity carrying
Oh,
you.
totally. Yes. And also too, I can say that I'm still part of the area. I'm showing in the Priscilla Fowler Gallery, so I've been part of that. Not as, like having a space in there, but she's been carrying my work there inside of my art, like pretty much since I've closed down my spot.
Nice.
So yeah, I still have a lot of love for the area, and I go down there, now and then.
I don't think we'll ever get away from that area.
Yeah.
And I do know that that's not the last gallery that you'll have. So it's almost
true.
like stay
Yes.
tuned. That seed just we don't even want that flower to blossom just yet.
Right.
So
Right.
Yeah, we want to watch a few sunsets and catch a few fish and, eat at a few restaurants before we open the doors on another one.
camping trips.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you also have work right now. Is it at the Centennial Hills Library?
Yes, actually, we're going to go after this and take some photos there right after this interview. Yes, it just touched down there, I guess like 2 weeks ago or so. And I think it's going to be up till the end of, I think, May, I believe.
That's what I
Yeah.
saw when I looked the end of
Yeah.
May. So
Yeah,
this
yeah.
will be out. So you
Cool.
guys can go see it if you're in Vegas.
So it's a tour. It's a 6 library tour.
Wow.
So the next library it's going to touch down is going to be at the Whitney.
It's incredible.
Been
Who
traveling
put
around the
that?
city.
Who's the
Darren Johnson. Yeah,
Darren Johnson
Darren
is
Johnson
really
and his staff.
cool.
Yeah, very cool staff.
Yeah.
Very
That's
professional.
awesome.
Yeah.
And is it called Paintings Without Words?
Stories without words.
Stories without words.
Right.
Stories without
Yes,
words.
because I really want the viewer to really just take a look at the paintings and kind of, unravel and just kind of, I want to know their interpretation of the stories behind the pieces without spelling it out. Yeah.
That's beautiful. It's
you.
always been one of my favorite things actually in Vegas is going to the library and the galleries in the libraries. I don't know if everybody knows that that's a thing you can do.
Yeah,
But
it's totally free. Yeah.
And it's amazing. I have seen some of the most amazing art.
In the libraries.
Yes.
And they're open. They're brick and mortar. It's wonderful. You can get lost in the library.
Truly.
Out here.
They've saved me sometimes just on days where I don't know, I was just lost and depressed and whatnot. And I walk into a gallery at the library and I'm like,
Have you been to the East Las Vegas Library?
no.
Oh, you have to check it
Wait,
out.
where is that? That's not on
It's-
Flamingo?
It's where is that? I think so. Wait, no, not Flamingo. It's like, I don't want to get the address wrong,
Yeah.
but I think it's like
I have to look
past
it up.
Sahara, like way out that way, Bonanza area, somewhere out that way. I don't want to get the address wrong. Sorry if I get it
Right.
wrong. But state of the art architecture, beautiful building. Like it's a great facility with all the computer labs and things like that, gallery space. It's just, you have to see it. It's a really good space.
Wow, the
Yeah.
East Las
East Las Vegas Library.
All
Yep.
of the libraries, though, even going in, a lot of people you don't go into the library, but they have computers still, so you can still get your books on electronics, but also just different holidays. There's Passover, there's Easter. You go into the libraries now and there's different activities for kids that's free for some, any holiday that's coming, like it's a wealth of information. So people should also, if you do go into the library, you can also see many of Joseph's books as well, because they're in the libraries, the local libraries.
Yep.
That's
Green Valley,
amazing.
Yeah.
The children's books.
The children's books,
Right.
Go Greta.
Yes. Oh, that's so beautiful. I do just at the last sort of phase of the podcast, any closing statements, any last things you'd like to share or touch on that maybe we didn't get to?
Anything you
I
could
think you're pretty fabulous, King Polly. I really absolutely do. It's so comfortable and
sweet.
this is wonderful.
I really
Thank
appreciate
you for having us
that.
on sincerely and having me on because my husband's the artist, but I appreciate your welcoming vibe.
Oh, Tamara, I appreciate that.
And I'm glad to be here as well too. So yeah, thank you from the bottom of our hearts, definitely. And planting seeds too. I'm just looking forward to see just let the stories and stuff get out there and let people tune in and just kind of see, who knows, what they get from it, and maybe they'll do something amazing with their art and stuff, and we'll read about it. I don't know, but
Truly.
yeah.
And I know for me, when I was younger, I would have loved to hear more stories of artists who make it and who do it, and it really is just inspiring, and your hearts transfer into the world out there, and it's just, I'm so grateful, especially with you guys not knowing me, right? And showing up to a weird townhouse.
Absolutely.
It's
Truly.
not weird. It's not weird.
No, it's not weird, but this is the first time that we've met you in person.
I know, and that's one of the things too I love about art is you feel like you can kind of know someone through it, So for me, it wasn't such a blind meeting, and I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful you came today, and I'm grateful for you being in Vegas and being who you are. So thank you.
Thank you.
Very
I can't say
cool.
one other thing though.
Yeah.
If I rewind the clock all the way back before I even got not chosen on the benches back in elementary schools, I do remember my second grade teacher telling my mom that I was the worst artist in class. And you know what? I was.
Wow.
So it just goes to show you how, from desperation comes greatness. So sitting on that bench and not getting picked, I had to kind of find my inner self and find something to work on, which wasn't, what the other kids were doing. So I went from the worst artist to, I don't know, I don't want to say I was the best, but
Well,
to a pretty okay artist. Yeah.
so teachers do not
So-
kill students' dreams.
Wow.
And kids, if you're not great at something in the beginning, keep at it and you will be if
Just
you
have
want
fun
it.
along the way.
Right.
Have fun along the way.
Don't
It makes a
lose
difference.
that. Right. And
Yeah.
I have a similar, my fourth grade choir teacher told me I couldn't sing. Right. And just that, but I loved to sing, but it's a part of me, but and it's like, okay. And believing that for a while. And then, no, I don't
Yeah.
care what you say. I feel it. And
Don't
I'm
let
going to
anyone
find my voice.
Kill your
There
dream.
you go.
Mm.
Cool.
So that's beautiful. That gave me chills, Joe. Oh, that makes me sad to even think a child, right, is told that you're the worst at something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But look, it was alchemized. It's beautiful now.
Yeah. So yeah, no matter how bad you are, you could become the best if you want.
If
It's
you
up to
want.
you though. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you all so
All right.
much for joining us today.
Cool.
We love you. We'll see you soon. Peace and love.
This piece here is called Destinations. The original actually hangs in City Hall. And the whole idea behind this piece is that I'm showing that you have many different routes, many different options in life to get where you want to go. Whether it's getting a better education, buying a home, helping others, things like that. But I'm telling the story with streets, highways, freeways, things like that. If you look really close, you can see a drawbridge up with a lot of cars just congested in the traffic while other cars are speeding by. It doesn't really mean anything that folks are going faster than you getting to their goals, faster than you are. It's just a matter of you never know. They might be taking the wrong road to get what they want out of life. So as long as you choose that right road and cross that right intersection, make that right turn, you can get what you want.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh, this is one of my favorites.
I think I know which one this is. Oh, no. Okay. Wow. Okay. This one here is titled Drunk Flower. And the whole idea about this series is that I'm taking this signature blue flower, I'm using that blue as a just sort of color of inspiration and drive. There's like 53 different flowers in this particular series. And this flower here is actually growing out of a beer can. It had a long night partying and fun, and it's just sprouting out of that beer can, and the background is all just, a haze. So yeah, drunk flower.
I love that. Can I tell you what I feel when I...
Sure, go ahead. Yeah, totally. I'd like to hear your interpretation.
It actually really reminds me, the flower reminds me of me coming from sort of this dysfunctional background and family of alcoholism.
Oh,
Like
okay.
truly, like when I look at it, I see that even a flower can be born out of that
That's
old
a very
beer
good
can.
interpretation. I like that.
Wow, that's beautiful. Oh my gosh, these are just so beautiful.
Oh, yeah, this is the first series here. This is the first, how many are in here? 12 out of the 53. It's titled the Urban Flora Collection. And again, these are various illustrations of this little flower going through these challenges in life. And everything from surviving a loss to surviving a disaster and being proud of the scars, losing a resource, attaching itself to another resource, finding your soulmate, things like that. Being up to your neck in stress, this flower is drowning in water. So no matter what, you could just make a good situation out of a bad situation in life, and I'm illustrating that with these flowers.
Beautiful, truly. Oh, I love, oh my gosh, I love all of these so much.
This one here is titled The Cycle of Life. And, what do you know? There's that blue flower again on the back of the seat. I'm using it as a little token of like encouragement, because you know what? In life, many times in life, it feels like you're riding on a bicycle with two flat tires. But you know what? You got to keep those pedals moving. No matter how steep that hill is, how flat those tires are, you got to keep moving. And yeah, this is titled The Cycle of Life.
Oh, and last but not least.
Oh, your favorite here.
Love this.
Connect.
My absolute favorite.
Was it because it was on back of our wedding invitations, or?
That's our juice on the back.
But this piece here is actually, the original is now owned by Cirque du Soleil in their permanent collection, and they acquired it, I don't know, like 7 or 8 years ago at least. But anyways, this piece was inspired by my 10-year high school reunion, because you never know where people are going to end up in life. I'm using a bridge as a connecting device between time before and after a 10-year time span. It's that conduit, right? So people going across the bridge from this side to this side, from the left to the right, it's who they were 10 years ago. So these same people are recrossing this bridge again, coming from the right to the left, and they're crossing themselves. It's like the old version of them to the new version. So you could see, if you take a really close look, how people changed based on good and bad fortune, and also just good and bad luck in life. There's good decisions, there's bad decisions, and some you can't even control at all. And I'm illustrating that with this particular piece. If you look in the background, you'll see these buildings being constructed, because in life, you're your own construction project. You're constantly building all the way to the end. The building is not done till you're done. Huh? Oh, these are heavy. Oh, okay.
She's getting her work
I
out
thought you
in.
meant the meaning behind it's heavy. I'm like, yeah, it is. Okay.
It is heavy.
All right.
The meaning.
But anyways, yeah, this is titled Connect. And again, storytelling with art. And that's how I do it. Just taking the good and bad in life and just turning it into something productive and positive that somebody can get, inspired with, I guess.
Beautiful.
Which
Thank
one
you so
do you-
much.
Oh, yeah. Which one
choose
do you want?
Oh my gosh. So I have to, the drunken flower.
Drunken
It
flower,
just means
okay.
so much to me.
That's so awesome that like you feel something from
It's
it. That's
so
cool.
beautiful. Like
Yeah.
I truly feel like,
And guess what? It's like, you're the flower.
thank you. There are no words. Thank you so
Yeah, you're
much.
welcome. You're
Yay.
welcome.
To be able to be
Yeah.
gifted
Yes,
art
totally.
that you made,
Yeah,
it really, I can't wait. It's gonna be hanging up in here. So
All right.
Thank
Enjoy.
you.
There's a little helicopter in the top right hand. I had to throw that in there.
I
But,
love it.
and the palm trees.
yeah.
I love my Vegas palm trees.
Yes.
Yes.
Got it all in there.
Thank you.
Enjoy. Yeah. All right. Cool.
That's so beautiful.